December 18th, 1944, somewhere in Belgium. Dear Ma, I can still hear their boots crunching in the snow, hundreds of them, and somehow I'm writing this to you now. My hands are shaking so bad the pencil keeps slipping. There's blood under my fingernails that ain't mine, and the smell of cordite is so thick in my nose I think I'll taste it forever. I need to tell you what happened at that farmhouse outside Crinkelt before my mind tries to make sense of something that don't make any sense at all. They're saying I held that position alone against 250 Germans for over an hour. They're calling it heroic. But Ma, I ain't no hero. Heroes are the fellas lying frozen in the snow outside. Heroes are Hank and David and Donnelly, good men who died so I could keep breathing. I'm just a coal miner's son from Scranton who was too stubborn or too scared or too something to die when it was his turn. I held your rosary so tight during that fight the beads left marks in my palm. I can still see them, little circles pressed into my skin like stigmata. You gave me that rosary at the train station, pressed it into my hand and told me Our Lady would watch over me. Your voice was steady, even though your eyes were wet. I promised I'd come home. I promised I'd see that kitchen light again. Ma, I don't know if I can keep that promise. Not the boy you sent away. That boy died somewhere in these woods. What's left knows how to kill without thinking. What's left can look at a field of bodies and feel nothing but cold relief that they ain't him. If this letter finds you and I don't, I need you to know I tried. I tried to be the son you raised, the one you taught about mercy and forgiveness. But war don't care what your mother taught you. War makes you choose between dying good or living with what you done. And Ma, I chose to live. My name is John R., Sergeant, U.S. Army, 2nd Infantry Division, 23rd Infantry Regiment, Company E. 23 years old, though, when I catch my reflection in broken glass, I see someone twice that. There's gray in my hair now that wasn't there 3 months ago, deep lines around my eyes, a scar on my chin from when I fell off that coal cart at 8 years old. You remember, Ma, how you held ice to my face and sang until I stopped crying. You remember me as Johnny, the boy who worked the coal breaker at 16, came home black with dust every evening, washed at the pump outside before he'd come through your door. The boy who tried to do arithmetic homework with fingers stiff from cold and work. The boy who sang off key in the church choir and made you laugh when he hit the wrong notes. I remember being that boy. Feels like 100 years ago. I'm writing from what's left of a barn in Belgium, the Ardennes. Snow everywhere, deep enough to lose a man in. Trees shattered by artillery, villages reduced to rubble. The cold gets inside your bones and stays there. We sleep in foxholes, burn anything we can find. Furniture, fence posts, sometimes frozen horse carcasses. The smell is something I'll never forget. My rifle is an M1 Garand. I named her Coal Breaker, after those machines back home that never stopped working. 8 rounds per clip, that distinctive ping when it ejects. My shoulder is one massive bruise from recoil. My ears ring constantly. Company E started at 140 men 5 days ago. We're down to 60 now. The rest are dead or wounded or missing, and missing usually means dead in a ditch we haven't found yet. Let me tell you about the boys I fought with before I tell you how they died. Private Henry Miller, Hank, was from Ohio. Farm boy, 20 years old, blonde hair always sticking up. He had this big booming laugh you could hear across a field. He showed me pictures of his girl Sally 100 times. Gonna marry her soon as we get back. Have 6 kids and a farm and never leave Ohio again. He said it so often it became a joke. There goes Hank, planning his future again. Corporal David Rosenthal was from Brooklyn. Jewish fella, quiet but whip-smart. Could quote scripture in Hebrew, recite poetry in English, curse in Yiddish. Kept a prayer book in his coat pocket, worn smooth from handling. Told me once his grandparents fled pogroms in Russia. Someone has to stand up to these bastards, he said. He had 3 younger sisters back home. I'm fighting for them. so they never have to know what this is like. Staff Sergeant James Donnelly was our squad leader. 32, ancient by infantry standards. Boston Irish with the accent to prove it. Been through North Africa and Sicily. 3 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. He kept us together, kept us sane. "Could be worse, boys," he'd say in a frozen foxhole under artillery. Then it would start raining. "See? Now it's worse. I told you." He had a wife and 2 daughters in Boston. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at their picture with this expression, part love, part pain. "Those were my brothers, Ma. That's who I lost. I'd already lost so many before them." Tommy Greco at Aachen, shrapnel turned him to red mist. Mickey Hanrahan drowned crossing the Roer. His pack dragged him under. Carl Peterson burned in a half-track. I can still hear him screaming through the flames. That was before Crinkled, before the worst day of my life. I think about home constantly, Ma, about Scranton, about the mine where Pop worked before the cough got him, the darkness underground, the smell of damp stone and coal dust. Pop said the mine was like church, quiet and dark and full of things older than memory. You learn to respect the darkness, listen to the creaks and groans. That skill kept me alive in this war. I think about your kitchen. Warm even on the coldest days because the stove was always going. The smell of bread baking, yeast and flour and heat. The way afternoon sun would make the whole room glow gold. Your voice calling me in from the yard. "Johnny, supper's ready." Cutting through the wind and cold and finding me wherever I was. I'd come running because home was warm and safe and you were there. I wanted to be there again, Ma. Wanted to be 13 again, coming in from the cold, stomping snow off my boots, smelling that bread. The world was small and simple then. The only worry was whether I'd finish my homework. But there's no going back. There's only forward. And forward meant whatever was coming across those snow-covered fields. December 17th started like every frozen morning in Belgium. We woke at 0500 to Sergeant Donnelly kicking our boots. "Up and at 'em, ladies. Another beautiful day in paradise." His voice was hoarse from cold and yelling. We groaned, pulled ourselves from frozen sleeping bags, every muscle stiff. Breakfast was K-rations, canned hash half frozen, crackers like cardboard, instant coffee made with melted snow. We ate standing, stamping our feet, breath forming clouds. Maybe 10 degrees, felt like 0 with the wind. "Think they'll hit us today?" Hank asked, grimacing at the cold hash. "They hit us every day," David said quietly, prayer book already in his hands. He always read before a fight. "Maybe they'll take the day off," Donnelly said with that crooked grin. "Germans love their coffee and schnapps." Nobody laughed. The Germans had launched their offensive 2 days earlier. Operation Wacht am Rhein, a desperate gamble to split Allied lines and reach Antwerp. They hit with everything, panzers, infantry, artillery. We were supposed to be in a quiet sector recovering from Hurtgen Forest. Instead, we were in the middle of the biggest German offensive since 1940. The forest was eerily quiet. Fresh snow covered everything in white. Beautiful, if you didn't know bodies from yesterday were under that snow. If you didn't know the black shapes in trees were burn tanks. If you didn't know silence meant they were coming. I pulled your rosary from my pocket, Ma. I do that constantly. Just hold it. Feel the smooth beads. Reminds me of home. Of you in the kitchen. Of Sunday mornings at St. Mary's. Of kneeling in the pew feeling safe because God was watching and you were beside me. I said a quick Hail Mary. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. The hour of our death. I'd said those words 1,000 times without thinking. Out here, every hour might be that hour. You Catholic boys and your beads, Donnelly said, smiling. He was Catholic too. I'd seen him cross himself before fights. Put in a good word for us Irish heathens. Already did, Sarge. The briefing came at 0700. Captain Morrison gathered Company E in a half-collapsed barn. 60 of us clustered together, fear on every face. Boys trying to look like men, men trying not to look terrified. Morrison was 35, looked 50. He'd commanded since Captain Ellis took a sniper round at Aachen. Good officer, didn't waste words, didn't sugarcoat, didn't send us anywhere he wouldn't go himself. "Listen up," he said, red-rimmed eyes scanning us. None of us had slept more than 2 hours in days. "Intelligence reports heavy German concentrations east. Looks like 12th SS Panzer Division, possibly reinforced with 277th Volksgrenadier Division. Tanks and a hell of a lot of infantry." Collective groan. SS were bad news. Fanatical, well-trained, well-equipped. Volksgrenadiers were conscripts but numerous and desperate. "Orders are to hold Krinkelt-Rocherath at all costs," Morrison continued. "If we delay their advance even one day, it gives reinforcements time. Every hour we hold saves American lives down the line." "How many Germans, sir?" someone asked. Morrison paused. Fear flickered across his face. "Best guess? 2, maybe 3,000 in this sector. Against our 500. Heavy silence. 6-to-1 odds. In this weather, this terrain, limited ammunition, no air support. Suicide mission dressed as defensive position. "We'll position in and around the villages," Morrison said. "1st and 2nd platoons in Rocherath, 3rd and 4th in Krinkelt. Farmhouses between villages, observation posts. If they come through, they fight for every building, every street, every room. Make them bleed for every inch." He looked at each of us. "I won't lie. This will be bad. Some won't make it. But if we hold, we save lives. That's the job." Nobody spoke. "Sergeant Donnelly, your squad takes the Miller farmhouse on eastern approach to Krinkelt. Isolated but good fields of fire. Early warning if they flank. Hold as long as you can, then fall back to village." Donnelly nodded. "How long is as long as we can, sir?" Morrison almost smiled. "Until you can't, Sergeant. Use your judgment." "My judgment says this is insane, sir." "Noted. Questions?" There weren't any. We knew the score. Speed bumps, human sandbags. Die slowly enough that someone else might live. We gathered gear and moved out. I checked coal breaker. Action clean, barrel clean, fresh clip. 6 more clips in my bandolier, 48 rounds total. 6 grenades on my belt. 1 canteen half frozen. 1 pack of cigarettes for trading. 1 candy bar from last week. 1 picture of you and Pop outside St. Mary's after Easter Mass 1940. You wore your good blue dress. Pop had his arm around you, both smiling, before his cough got bad, before the mind took him. And your rosary, Ma. Always your rosary. We marched out at 800, tactical column, weapons ready. Snow crunched under boots, a sound I'll never forget. Loud in the silent forest. Trees heavy with snow, branches bending. 40 minutes to the Miller farmhouse. It sat alone in a clearing. 2-story stone building. Family fled or dead. Windows shattered. Front door crooked. Bullet holes in walls from earlier fighting. But structure solid. Stone walls, 3 feet thick. Cellar with heavy door. Good sight lines across fields. "Home, sweet home," Donnelly muttered, kicking the door open, Thompson up. We filed in, 12 of us total. We spent 2 hours fortifying. Knocked out remaining glass, stacked furniture as barricades, positioned the bar and 2nd-floor window facing east where we'd see them first. Scattered ammunition throughout so we could reach it from multiple positions. Filled burlap sacks with frozen dirt as sandbags around windows. David found the cellar. Small, maybe 10 feet square, dirt floor, stone walls. Dark and damp and cold, but cover if things got bad. "If they shell us, this is where we go." Cheerful thought, Hank said, checking his rifle nervously, hands shaking. Not from cold. Donnelly gathered us in the kitchen. We sat on the floor, weapons across laps. "We've got maybe 100 yards of open field on 3 sides. Trees south, too thick for armor. They'll come from east or north. Open advance across fields." "Turkey shoot," someone muttered. For us or them? Someone else asked. Depends on how many, Donnelly said flatly. Good position, good fields of fire. But once they know we're here, they'll bring everything. Artillery, mortars, tanks. Hold until we get the order to withdraw. Might be an hour, might be 12. Either way, make them pay. He looked at each of us. Nobody fires until I give the word. Let them get close, 100 yards closer. Then light them up and don't stop. Conserve ammo, aimed shots. These are professional soldiers, not Italian conscripts. What if they surround us? Hank asked quietly. Donnelly didn't sugarcoat. Then we fight our way out or die here. Those are the options. Wind whistling through broken windows filled the silence. Questions? David raised his hand slightly. Sarge, if this is it, if we don't make it, I just want to say it's been an honor. Shut up with that death talk, Rosenthal, Donnelly said gently. We're going to be fine. We're the 23rd Infantry. Best damn regiment in 2nd Division. These Kraut bastards don't stand a chance. He was lying. We all knew. But it felt good to hear. We took positions. I was ground floor, southern window, view of tree line and field. Hank upstairs with the bar, David in kitchen with his M1. Donnelly everywhere, checking ammunition, offering encouragement or insults. The waiting was worst. We watched fields, tree line, sky darkening as morning turned afternoon. Nobody talked much. All thinking the same, home, family, whether we'd see another sunrise. I pulled your rosary out, held it in my free hand. Cold beads, started praying quietly. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. The words comforted. Took me out of that frozen farmhouse, put me somewhere else, somewhere warm, safe. At 14:35 hours, 2:35 afternoon, we saw them. Movement! Hank's voice from upstairs, sharp and tense. East field, tree line! We froze, weapons up, safeties off, heart hammering, adrenaline flooding. This was it. How many? Donnelly called. Pause while Hank counted. 30, maybe 40. Infantry, coming slow through trees. Donnelly moved to window, raised binoculars, heard him curse softly. SS by the looks, camouflage smocks, good spacing, professionals. Do we engage, Sarge? Negative. Let them come closer. Don't give away position until maximum damage. Pass the word. Nobody fires until I command. Next 10 minutes lasted forever. I watched German soldiers emerge from tree line, moving across field. Small groups covering each other, weapons ready. Snow camouflage made them hard to see. Professional soldiers doing their job. 150 yards, then 100, 75. I could see their faces. Young, younger than me. Kids who'd been told they were the master race, that victory was destiny, that God was on their side. Kids with mothers who gave them keepsakes and prayed for their return. My finger tightened on trigger. Coalbreaker felt heavy. Rosary pressed against my chest. 50 yards. Steady. Donnelly's voice calm. How was he calm? Steady now. 40 yards. I could hear them talking in German. Couldn't understand words but understood the tone. Cautious, alert. 30 yards. 20. Now! Donnelly roared. Light 'em up! The world exploded. Every weapon opened at once. M1s cracking, bar hammering, Donnelly's Thompson chattering, grenades arcing through windows. First wave of Germans went down like cut strings. I fired and a man dropped. Fired again, another down. 8-round clip emptied. Ping of ejecting clip lost in cacophony. Loaded another clip, fingers automatic, muscle memory. Fired. Again. Germans screaming, falling, running, trying to find cover where there was none. Snow turned red. Bar was devastating. Hank firing controlled bursts, walking rounds across field. Wherever those 30.06 rounds hit, men stayed down. David firing from kitchen, M1 cracking steadily, counting shots under breath. Then Germans returned fire and world became chaos. Bullets slammed stone walls with sharp cracks, stone chips flying. Windows shattered, wood splintered. A round punched through furniture barricade 6 inches from my head. Ducked down, heart pounding, reloaded, popped up and fired. Saw a German throwing stick grenade, shot him. Watched grenade tumble from dead hand and explode among his own men. No time to think. Load, fire, load, fire. Coal breaker bucking against shoulder, recoil familiar and reassuring. They're pulling back, someone shouted. True. Survivors, maybe half, retreating to tree line, dragging wounded, leaving dead. Field littered with bodies. 20, 25, couldn't count. Didn't want to. Cease fire, Donnelly ordered. Conserve ammunition. Shooting stopped. Silence profound except ringing ears and someone vomiting upstairs. Casualties. Sound off. Second floor clear, Hank called. Kitchen clear, David said. Ground floor clear, I reported, hands shaking so bad I needed both hands to hold rifle. We'd done it. Beaten back first assault without losing a man. For a moment I let myself believe we might survive. Then we heard rumble of engines, heavy engines, tank engines. Ah, hell, Donnelly said quietly. I moved to window, through trees, movement, big movement, steel and iron, panzers. At least 2, maybe 3, long 75mm guns swiveling toward us. Cellar, Donnelly shouted. Everyone into cellar, now, now, now. We scrambled for cellar stairs, bodies colliding. Heard first shell before I saw it, shriek getting louder until my brain processed it as terror. Explosion came heartbeat later, hitting second floor. Entire building shook. Dust and debris rained. Someone screamed. We tumbled into cellar, 12 men in space for 6. Donnelly slammed heavy door as second shell hit. Farmhouse groaned like living thing. More dust, debris. Single kerosene lamp cast crazy shadows. Everyone here? Donnelly doing head count. Sound off. We counted. 12 men. All present. For now. Shelling continued. They were working over farmhouse systematically, high explosive rounds reducing it to rubble piece by piece. Each explosion shook cellar. Dirt fell between ceiling stones. Lamp flickered but stayed lit. How long can they keep this up? Someone asked, voice high with fear. Long as they want, Donnelly said grimly. They're not rationing ammunition. So what do we do? Hank asked. We wait, Donnelly said. Let them think they killed us. When they send infantry to confirm, we surprise them. Made sense, our only play. But sitting in cellar while world exploded above was hardest thing I'd ever done. Every explosion made me flinch. Every crash made me think ceiling would collapse and bury us alive. I pulled your rosary again, wrapped it around my hand. Beads bit into skin. Prayed, though I don't remember what for. Safety. Strength. Forgiveness for what I'd done and was about to do. David was praying too, lips moving silently. Prayer book open, though not enough light to read. Hank sat with head between knees, taking deep breaths, trying not to panic. Others checked weapons, counted ammunition, anything to feel control. Shelling went on 20 minutes, felt like 20 hours. When it stopped, silence was so sudden, it took a moment to register. Think they're done? Hank whispered. One way to find out, Donnelly said. Moved to cellar door, pressed ear against it, listening. After moment, eased it open a crack. What had been farmhouse was mostly rubble. Second floor gone, just gone, reduced to broken beams and stone. Ground floor heavily damaged, but parts still stood, including my window wall. Holes in roof let in gray light. Snow falling through gaps, peaceful and serene. They're coming, Donnelly reported. Infantry sweep, 40 or 50. They think we're dead. Let's prove them wrong. Pick targets, make every shot count. Hit fast and hard. Then we assess. Understood? We understood. Filed out into wreckage, taking whatever positions we could find. I returned to my window, what was left of it. Furniture barricade was matchsticks. Wall cracked, but standing. Good enough. Germans came cautiously across field, expecting corpses. Instead, found us. Donnelly waited until 30 yards, gave the order. We opened fire. This time we had surprise. Cut down first rank before they could react. Survivors tried to cover, but there was none. Just open field. We kept firing. They kept dying. Second time that day they fell back, leaving more dead. But this time we paid. "I'm hit!" someone yelled upstairs. "Medic!" Another voice. There was no medic. Donnelly ran upstairs while we kept firing. Moment later came back, face grim. "Martinez is dead. Took one through throat. Collins has sucking chest wound. He's not gonna make it. 2 men down. 10 left." "We need to fall back," someone said. "This position is done." Radio crackled. Captain Morrison's voice, scratchy with static. "Echo 6, this is Echo Actual. Do you read? Over." Donnelly grabbed handset. "Echo Actual, this is Echo 6. We read you. Over." "What's your situation? Over." "Repelled 2 assaults. Killed maybe 60 enemy. Farmhouse destroyed. 2 KIA, 1 critical. Request permission to fall back. Over." Static. Then, "Negative, Echo 6. You need to hold that position. We're hit hard across entire line. Every position abandoned gives them a flank route. Hold as long as you can. Reinforcements coming, but ETA unknown. Copy?" Over. Donnelly looked at us. 9 men still able to fight. Ruined farmhouse. Field of bodies. Then pressed transmit. "Copy that, Echo Actual. We'll hold. Echo 6 out." Set radio down gently. Looked at each of us. "You heard him. We hold." "Sarge," Hank said quietly, "there's nothing left to hold." "Then we hold the rubble," Donnelly said. "Collins, can you walk?" Collins, kid from Tennessee, 19, slumped against wall, hand pressed to chest, where blood seeped through uniform. Breathing wet and labored. Looked up at Donnelly, managed weak smile. "Can try, Sarge." "That's the spirit. David, help him to cellar. Cover the stairs if they breach ground floor." Turned to rest of us. "Maybe an hour of daylight left. They'll hit again before dark. Probably bigger numbers. Redistribute ammunition. Anyone running low?" We all were. I had 3 clips, 24 rounds. Hank down to 200 for bar. David had 4 clips, others similar. Donnelly went around collecting spare ammo, redistributing to those in best positions. If they send tanks again, we use grenades. Wait until close, throw for tracks or engine deck. If we immobilize one, it becomes cover, blocks their advance. If we're lucky. We'd used up our luck hours ago. Third assault came at 16:30 hours, less than an hour of daylight remaining. This time no tanks, learned that lesson. Instead, came in force, 100 men or more, advancing in squad-sized elements with covering fire from machine guns at tree line. "Here they come," someone shouted. "Wait for it," Donnelly said, voice calm despite everything. "Let them bunch up." They came across field, professional and disciplined, bounding from cover to cover though there wasn't much. Machine guns hammered our position, bullets slamming rubble, forcing heads down. Smart tactics. Good fire discipline. Veteran soldiers. "Now!" Donnelly yelled. We opened up. Bar roared from upstairs. My M1 cracked steadily. Target. Breathe. Squeeze. Next target. Rosary bounced against chest with each movement. Constant reminder of you, Ma, of home, of everything I was fighting to get back to. Germans fell, but more kept coming, overwhelming us with numbers, accepting casualties to close distance. Saw one man go down, soldier behind stepped over his body without breaking stride. That kind of discipline, determination, terrifying. A grenade came through my window, 2 seconds, snatched it up, threw it back out in one motion, dove away. It exploded mid-air. Heard screaming. Got up, kept firing. Clip empty. Reload. Ping of ejecting clip like bell announcing vulnerability. Slammed new clip home. Resumed firing. Shoulder mass of bruises. Ears bleeding from noise. Didn't matter. Keep firing. Stay alive. They're flanking. South side. I spun towards southern windows and saw Germans emerging from forest. They'd used eastern assault as distraction while another element moved through woods. Classic tactics. Being surrounded. David! South windows! David appeared from kitchen, saw a threat, opened fire. His M1 cracked 8 times rapid, 3 Germans went down. But too many. Kept coming. A German reached wall below my window. Could hear him breathing heavily, shouting orders. I pulled grenade, yanked pin, counted 1-2, dropped it straight down. Explosion muffled by stone but effective. When I looked out, German was gone. Just gone. Others pulled back temporarily, but cost was mounting. From upstairs heard Hank scream, not yell, scream, high-pitched and terrified. I'm hit! Jesus Christ, I'm hit! Started for stairs, but Donnelly already there, taking them 2 at a time. Heard him reach Hank, voices but couldn't make out words over gunfire. Then silence from upstairs. Then Donnelly came back down. His face told me everything. Hank? I asked, though I knew. Donnelly shook his head. Took round through head. Didn't suffer. He was laughing, making joke about his farm. Then he wasn't there anymore. Hank. Big, loud, happy Hank who was going to marry Sally and have 6 kids and a farm in Ohio. Gone. Just like that. One moment planning future, next moment gone. No time to process. Germans regrouping for another push, down to 8 men. We'd held almost 3 hours. How much longer? Ammo check, Donnelly ordered, voice mechanical. Operating on training now, on instinct, because if he stopped to think he'd break down. I checked. 1 clip left, 8 rounds. After that, bayonet and grenades. 2 grenades left. I'm out, someone said. Me too, another voice. Maybe 20 rounds, David said quietly. Still by southern windows, still firing when targets presented, still alive despite everything. Donnelly pulled his 45. Checked it. Full magazine. 7 rounds. Running on empty, boys. When ammunition runs out, fall back to cellar. Try to hold stairs. If they breach that, we surrender. No heroic last stands. We've done our job. Understood? Surrender meant... Sun setting behind clouds, casting everything in gray. Snow falling again, soft and gentle, completely at odds with violence. This time came from 3 sides at once, east, north, south. Coordinated, professional, determined to end this. We fought with everything left. Every bullet, every grenade, every ounce of strength. I fired my last clip, heard that ping, and that was it. Coalbreaker empty. Fixed bayonet with trembling hands, set rifle aside. Pulled 2 grenades off belt, held them ready. From kitchen heard David's M1 fire 8 times, then silence, then heard him working bayonet onto rifle. He appeared in doorway, face pale, uniform soaked with sweat despite cold. That's all I've got, he said simply. Me too, I replied. Donnelly firing Thompson-controlled bursts, making every round count. When it clicked empty, dropped it, drew 45. Last magazine. When this runs dry, fall back to cellar. Germans at walls now. Could hear them outside, shouting, preparing to breach. Shadow at my window. Threw grenade. Explosion deafening in confined space. Smoke cleared. Shadow gone, but 2 more took its place. 1 came through window. I was on him in second, bayonet first. Blade went in under ribs. He made sound like all air leaving body at once. Eyes went wide with shock. Maybe 20 years old. Blonde hair, blue eyes, propaganda poster face. Someone's son, someone's brother. I twisted blade, and he fell. No time to think. Another German at window. Pulled last grenade, yanked pin, threw it. Explosion came before it hit ground, caught him mid-climb, tumbled back, grabbed coalbreaker, holding it like club now since no ammunition. German came through door, Front door we'd barricaded, but they'd torn down. Donnelly shot him with .45. German went down. Another came through. Donnelly shot him. Another. The .45 slide locked back. Empty. "Cellar!" Donnelly roared. "Fall back! Fall back!" We ran for cellar stairs. David ahead of me. I right behind. Donnelly covering retreat with empty pistol and shouting. 4 others made it to stairs. 7 of us. What happened to 8th I didn't see. Didn't have time to wonder. David hit stairs, started down. I right behind. Then heard him gasp. He stopped, staggered. When I grabbed his arm to steady him, my hand came away wet with blood. "I'm hit," he said, voice full of surprise. I'm hit." He'd taken round in back, could see entry wound, blood spreading across uniform. "Get downstairs," I yelled. "Move!" He tried, really tried, but legs weren't working right. Made it 3 steps before collapsing. Tried to catch him, but too heavy, and we both went down, tumbling into cellar in heap of bodies and weapons and blood. I scrambled to feet. David on his back, breathing short, sharp gasps, blood pooling beneath him. Oh God, oh no. "David," I said, dropping to knees beside him. "David, stay with me. Stay with me, buddy." His eyes found mine. He managed small smile. "Shema Yisrael," he whispered. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one." "Don't," I said, voice breaking. "Don't you dare. We're gonna get you out." "Tell my sisters," he whispered. Hand fumbled for prayer book, couldn't find it. I found it, pressed it into his hand. Fingers closed around it weakly. "Tell them I fought. Tell them." I wasn't afraid. "You weren't afraid," I said, crying now, tears cutting tracks through dirt and cordite on my face. "You were the bravest man I ever knew." He smiled again. Then his eyes went distant. Then they went empty. And David Rosenthal, who'd fled pogroms and come to America with nothing and enlisted to fight evil, was gone. Don't know how long I knelt there. Could have been seconds. Could have been minutes. Time stopped meaning anything. Sound of gunfire above, Germans moving through ruined farmhouse, Donnelly and others returning fire from cellar stairs. All seemed far away. Then Donnelly's hand on my shoulder, pulling me back. "John, get your head in this. We're not done yet." I looked up. His face was mask of soot and blood and determination. Behind him, 4 other men clustered at base of stairs, 2 with rifles still having ammunition, 2 with nothing but bayonets. 6 of us left, out of 12. Germans above being cautious now. Knew we were in cellar. Knew we were cornered. In no hurry. Could wait us out or drop grenades downstairs. "We have to surrender," someone said. "We have to—" Voice cut off by massive explosion that shook entire cellar. Dust and debris rained. Lamp went out. Darkness. Total darkness. "What the hell was that?" someone yelled. Another explosion. Closer. Then another. Then sound of tank guns, but not panzers. Different. Deeper. Familiar. "That's American artillery," Donnelly shouted. "That's our boys. They're shelling the Germans." Hope. Sudden, desperate hope. We weren't alone. Someone was coming. Just had to survive long enough. Shelling went on for what felt like forever. Cellar shook with each explosion. Above us we could hear Germans shouting in alarm, hear them abandoning farmhouse, hear them falling back. The assault had broken. We'd held. When shelling finally stopped, we waited in darkness, weapons ready, not knowing if Germans or Americans would come down those stairs. Minutes passed. 5, 10, 15. Then, "Anyone alive down there?" American voice. Brooklyn accent. Most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. "Yeah," Donnelly shouted back. "Yeah, we're alive. Don't shoot." "Coming down. Don't shoot us either." Flashlight beam appeared at top of stairs. Then American soldiers from 3rd Platoon came down cautiously, weapons ready. When they saw us, 6 exhausted, bloody, hollow-eyed survivors, they just stared. "Jesus Christ," one whispered. "You guys held this place alone?" "Wasn't always alone," Donnelly said quietly. Started with 12. We climbed out of that cellar into world transformed by violence. Farmhouse was gone, nothing but rubble and scorched stone. Fields around it carpeted with bodies, German bodies, dozens of them, maybe more. I couldn't count, didn't want to count. Captain Morrison was there with relief force. He looked at carnage, looked at us, shook his head slowly. How long did you hold? Donnelly checked his watch. 4 hours, give or take. 4 hours, Morrison repeated. He looked at dead Germans again. Intelligence estimates you faced at least 250 enemy soldiers, multiple assaults, armor support, and you held with 12 men. Started with 12, sir, Donnelly said. Got 6 now. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Your defense gave us time to reinforce the village. Germans tried to flank around you, ran into our prepared positions. We stopped them. You stopped them. This line holds because of what you did here today. I didn't feel like hero. I felt empty. Hollow. Like something fundamental had been scooped out of my chest and I'd never get it back. They led us back to village. Walking wounded, helping those who could barely walk. We passed through American positions, foxholes and machine gun nests and tank emplacements. Soldiers there watched us pass with something like awe in their eyes. Word had already spread about the farmhouse, about the stand, but all I could think about was Hank and David. About Martinez and Collins and others whose names I couldn't bear to write. About all the boys who'd started day with me and didn't live to see sunset. We reached buildings serving as battalion aid station. Medics swarmed us, checking wounds, pushing mugs of hot coffee into our hands. Coffee was terrible and tasted like best thing I'd ever drunk. Someone gave me cigarette even though I don't smoke. I took it anyway, let it burn between fingers while I stared at nothing. Chaplain came by. Wanted to talk. I turned away. What could he say? What words existed that could make sense of what we'd been through? Donnelly found me sitting alone in corner, still holding that cigarette, still staring at nothing. He sat beside me without speaking. We sat like that for a long time. You did good today, Johnny, he finally said. I looked at him. 6 of us lived, 6 out of 12. That's 50% casualties, Sarge. That ain't good. Could have been 12 out of 12, Donnelly said quietly. We held. We did our job. Hank and David and the others. They didn't die for nothing. They died buying time for line to form up. They died saving lives. That means something. Does it? I asked. Question came out harsher than intended. Hank was going to marry Sally and have 6 kids. David was going to go home to his sisters. Now they're dead in snow, and Sally's going to get telegram, and David's sisters are going to sit Shiva, and for what? For ruined farmhouse. For 4 hours. How is that worth it? Donnelly didn't have answer. How could he? There wasn't an answer. There was just cold and snow and ghosts and knowledge that we were still alive when better men weren't. Eventually they told us to get some rest. Found us cots in cellar that wasn't full of bodies. Said we'd earned few hours of sleep before we went back to line, because of course we'd go back. That's what soldiers do. They fight and die, and fight some more until war ends, or they do. I lay on that cot with eyes closed, but couldn't sleep. Every time I started to drift, I'd hear Hank scream, or see David's eyes going empty, or feel that German soldier's body weight on my bayonet. I'd see field of bodies outside farmhouse. I'd hear their boots in snow, hundreds of boots, coming for me. I pulled out your rosary, Ma, and held it tight. Beads were smooth and warm from being against my skin all day. There were dark stains on them, blood, maybe mine, maybe someone else's. I should have cleaned it, but I couldn't bring myself to. Blood felt like proof that I'd been there, proof that I'd survived, proof that they hadn't. I prayed, or tried to. Words wouldn't come right. What do you say to God after a day like that? Thank you for keeping me alive while my friends died. Thank you for turning me into killer. Thank you for this beautiful gift of trauma that I'll carry for rest of my life. In end, I just held rosary and thought about you. About home, about kitchen and bread and your voice calling me in from cold. I thought about being small enough that world was simple. Small enough that my biggest worry was whether I'd get homework done or whether mine would be hiring when I turned 16. I thought about boy who'd left Scranton 17 months ago, fresh-faced and naive and convinced he was doing something noble. That boy was dead now. He'd died somewhere between North Africa and Sicily and France and this God-forsaken forest. What was left was something harder and colder and more capable of violence than that boy could have ever imagined. Somewhere around midnight, Donnelly appeared beside my cot. "Can't sleep either, huh?" "No, Sarge." He sat down on floor, back against wall. In dim light, I could see how old he looked. Not 32, 62, 102. War ages you in ways that have nothing to do with time. "I keep thinking about what I'm going to tell Sally," he said quietly. "Hank's girl. I'm next of kin since his folks are both dead. I gotta write to her. Tell her what happened." "What do I say?" "Your fiancé died heroically defending farmhouse that doesn't even have name on any map. He was laughing when bullet hit him. How do you put that in letter?" "I don't know, Sarge." "Me neither." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You gonna write to your mother?" "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, I gotta. She'll hear about Bulge on radio. She'll worry. I gotta let her know I'm alive." "Tell her truth," Donnelly said. "Not sanitized version, not heroic version. Truth. She deserves that much." "Truth might kill her, Sarge. Wondering will kill her faster." He was right. "You deserve truth, Ma. You deserve to know what your son had become, what this war had made of boy you'd raised to be kind and gentle and God-fearing." Next morning they gave us new orders. We were being pulled back to refit, not for long, just day or two. But it felt like lifetime. Hot food, clean clothes, chance to wash blood and cordite off our skin, chance to try to feel human again. I found quiet corner in what used to be church, and I sat down to write this letter. Morning light was coming through broken windows, gray and cold, but still light. Still proof that world continued despite everything. My hands shook so bad at first I could barely hold pencil. Had to stop and start 3 times before I got past your name. But I needed to do this. Needed to tell you what happened before memories started fading or changing or becoming something they weren't. So here it is, Ma. Truth. The whole ugly truth. I killed men yesterday. A lot of men. I don't know how many. More than I can count. More than I want to count. I killed them with my rifle and my grenades and my bayonet, and I did it without hesitation because it was them or me, and I chose me. I chose to live. First one I killed was kid in snow smock. He was running across field toward our position. I aimed, I fired, he dropped. Simple as that. One moment he was alive, full of thoughts and dreams and memories. Next moment, he was just meat cooling in snow. And you know what I felt, Ma? Relief. Not guilt, not horror. Relief. Because he was dead and I wasn't. That relief turned to nausea later, turned to guilt, turned to this weight I carry now that I don't think will ever go away. But in moment, all I felt was relief. I held your rosary through all of it. When I was firing my rifle, beads pressed against my chest. When I was throwing grenades, I could feel chain around my neck. When I was driving my bayonet into that German soldier's ribs, your rosary was right there, blessed by Father O'Connor at St. Mary's, sanctified and holy, hanging around neck of killer. What would you think of me if you saw me yesterday, Ma? Would you recognize your son? Would you still love him? Or would you see stranger wearing Johnny's face, doing things that Johnny could never do? I watched my friends die. Hank took bullet through head and died instantly. One moment making jokes about his farm, planning his future with Sally. Next moment top of his head was gone, and he was collapsing like puppet with cut strings. I can still see it when I close my eyes. I can still see his face frozen in mid-laugh. David bled out in my arms. He was shot in back and we both fell down cellar stairs, and he died there on cold stone floor with his prayer book in his hand. His last words were in Hebrew, Shema Yisrael. Hear, O Israel. He wasn't afraid. He was at peace. How is that possible, Ma? How can you be at peace when you're dying at 24 with your whole life ahead of you? Donnelly, Sergeant Donnelly, best NCO I ever served under. He made it through somehow. Him and me and 4 others out of 12. We held that farmhouse for 4 hours against hundreds of Germans. They're calling it heroic. They're talking about medals. Captain Morrison looked at me like I was some kind of legend. But I don't feel like legend, Ma. I feel like coward who lived while better men died. I feel like I stole something. Their chance to go home. Their chance to see their families again. Their chance to have lives they deserved. Why did I survive when Hank didn't? Why am I writing this letter when David will never write to his sisters again? What makes my life worth more than theirs? I don't have answers. I don't think anyone does. Chaplain came by and he had all sorts of words about God's plan and greater purpose and sacrifice not being in vain. But they were just words. They didn't touch emptiness inside me. They didn't bring Hank or David back. They didn't make their deaths mean anything. Here's what I learned yesterday, Ma. Here's what 4 hours in ruined farmhouse taught me. War isn't noble. It's not glorious. It's not adventure. It's young men dying in snow for reasons they don't fully understand. It's watching your friends bleed out and not being able to do anything about it. It's killing other young men who probably don't want to be there any more than you do. It's noise and chaos and terror and luck, mostly luck. And whether you live or die has nothing to do with how good you are, or how brave you are, or how much you have to live for. Heroes don't exist. Not real heroes. Just scared boys doing what they have to do to survive. Just people making impossible choices and living with consequences. Just luck and training and instinct and prayer. Your rosary saved my life yesterday. Not in mystical way. Not because it stopped bullet or turned aside blade. But because it reminded me of you. Of home. Of world where people bake bread and go to church and call their sons in from cold. It reminded me that there was something beyond war. Something worth surviving for. Something worth fighting to get back to. I held those beads so tight yesterday that they left marks on my palm. Little circular bruises like stigmata. I can still see them now. They're fading, but they're there. Proof that your prayers reached me. Proof that I'm still your son, even after everything. But Ma, I need you to understand something. I need you to understand that boy you sent away isn't man who's coming home. I've seen things that can't be unseen. I've done things that can't be undone. I've crossed lines that can't be uncrossed. The Johnny who left Scranton 17 months ago, that optimistic, naive kid who thought he was going off to do his duty and be hero, he's gone. He died somewhere between then and now. What's left is harder, colder, more capable of violence than you raised him to be. What's left knows how to kill without hesitation. What's left can look at field of corpses and feel nothing but exhausted relief. What's left wakes up in middle of night hearing phantom gunfire and seeing dead faces in darkness. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying it because you deserve to know. Because when I do come home, if I come home, you need to be prepared. I might look like your son, but I won't be same. I'll have scars you can't see. I'll have nightmares you can't understand. I'll have memories I can't share, because they're too dark, too violent, too terrible for anyone who wasn't there. But I'm still yours, Ma. I'm still boy you raised. Under all blood and trauma and horror somewhere deep down, I'm still Johnny. Still kid who fell off coal cart and cried while you held ice to his face. Still boy who sang off key in church. Still your son. I just hope that's enough. I hope when you see what war has made of me, you'll still recognize enough of who I was to love what I've become. They're calling us back to line soon. Another sector, another position to hold, another chance to roll dice and see if my luck holds. Bastogne, they're saying. The 101st Airborne is surrounded there, and we're part of relief force. More fighting, more dying, more chances to collect ghosts. I don't know when I'll be able to write again. Days, maybe. Weeks. Months, if things go bad. If you don't hear from me for a while, don't assume worst. Assume I'm busy. Assume I'm in place where mail service is spotty. Assume I'm too exhausted to hold pencil. But don't assume I'm dead unless you get that telegram. Don't give up on me. And if you do get that telegram, if some officer does come to your door with his hat in his hands and his prepared speech about honor and sacrifice, I need you to know some things. First, don't let them make me into hero. I'm not hero. I'm just man who survived when he maybe shouldn't have. Real heroes are buried in snow outside Crinkled. Real heroes are ones who didn't come home. Second, keep rosary, the one you gave me. If I die, they'll send my personal effects home. Rosary will be in there, probably stained with blood and cordite and mud. Keep it. Not as memorial to me, but as proof that your prayers worked. That they reached me across ocean and miles and chaos and kept me going when I wanted to give up. Third, tell Sally about Hank. Tell her he was brave and funny and kind, and he died thinking about her. Tell her his last words were about farm they were going to buy and life they were going to build. Tell her he didn't suffer. Tell her he went quick. Lie if you have to. She deserves peace. Fourth, write to David's sisters. I don't know their address, but Army will have it. Tell them he wasn't afraid. Tell them he prayed at end. Tell them he died fighting evil, which is what he always wanted. Tell them he was bravest man I knew. Don't lie about that. It's truth. Fifth, forgive me. For leaving. For enlisting when I could have stayed and worked mine and been safe. For all things I've done over here that would horrify you. For coming home changed. For not being son you sent away. Forgive me even though I can't forgive myself. Sixth, remember me as I was. Not as soldier, not as killer, not as whatever newspapers might say if they write about farmhouse. Remember me as Johnny, as boy who came home black with coal dust, as kid who sang off key in church, as your son. That's who I really am, under all rest. That's who I want to be remembered as. I can hear them calling us to formation outside. Time to gear up and move out. Time to go back to war. Time to roll dice again and see if I'm still lucky. I'm going to mail this letter before we leave. I don't know when you'll get it. Mail service is chaos right now, with German offensive disrupting everything. Could be weeks, could be months, could be never. But I had to write it. Had to tell you truth while I still could. While I still remembered how. I think about that kitchen lot, Ma. About light coming through window. About smell of your bread baking. About your voice calling me home. About being small and safe and innocent. About time before I knew what I was capable of. About world where biggest problem was finishing homework and biggest joy was your smile when I came through door. I want to get back to that world, Ma. I want to come home. I want to walk through that door and smell that bread and hear that voice and feel safe again. I want to be boy I was. But I know that's not possible. That world is gone. That boy is gone. All I can do is try to build something new from what's left. If God is watching, and I have to believe He is, because your rosary kept me alive yesterday when by all rights I should have died, then maybe He has plan. Maybe there's reason I survived. Maybe I'm supposed to do something with this borrowed time I've been given. Maybe Hank and David and all others died so I could live, and their sacrifice means something more than just random chance. Or maybe that's just what I tell myself to make their deaths bearable. Maybe there's no plan. Maybe it's all chaos and luck and violence and only meaning is what we make of it ourselves. Maybe I survived for no reason at all, and I have to figure out what to do with that. I don't know, Ma. I don't know anything anymore. All I know is that I'm alive and they're not, and I have to carry that. I have to wake up every morning and remember their faces and know that I'm breathing air they'll never breathe again. I have to live life they'll never get to live. I have to make it mean something. So that's what I'll try to do. If I make it through this war, and that's big if, because Bastogne sounds like it's going to be hell, I'll try to live for all of them. For Hank and his 6 kids and his farm. For David and his sisters and his fight against evil. For Martinez and Collins and all others whose names are carved into my memory. I'll come home if I can, Ma. I'll walk through that door. I'll be different, but I'll be there. And maybe, with time and your love and your prayers, I can find some peace. Maybe I can learn to live with ghosts. Maybe I can become something more than just survivor. Until then, keep praying. Keep that kitchen warm. Keep light on, because somewhere out here in cold and snow and chaos, your son is fighting to get back to it. Your prayers reach me, Ma. Your rosary keeps me alive. Your love is only thing that makes any of this bearable. I love you, Ma, more than I can say, more than these words can express. You're what I fight for. You're what I survive for. You're what makes me human when everything around me is inhuman. Keep the faith. I'll do my best to do same. Your son always, Johnny Sergeant John R. 23rd Infantry Regiment, Company E.U.S. Army, somewhere in Belgium, December 18, 1944. If anyone else reads this, if this letter somehow survives and I don't, know this. War isn't what they tell you it is. It's not glory or honor or noble sacrifice. It's just young men dying far from home for reasons that seem less clear with every death. We didn't fight because we were heroes. We fought because man next to us needed us. Because surrender wasn't option. Because going home meant surviving one more day. The farmhouse at Crinkle doesn't have name on any map. Men who died there won't be remembered by history. But they were real. They laughed and cried and dreamed and hoped. They had mothers who loved them and futures that were stolen from them. Don't let anyone tell you they died for nothing. They died buying time. They died holding line. They died so that others might live. That's not nothing. That's everything. Remember them. Please. Remember Hank and David and all boys who didn't come home. Remember that behind every casualty report, every statistic, every number in history books, there was person, son, brother, friend. Remember them, because we can't forget. We won't forget. We carry them with us, in our memories and our hearts and our nightmares for rest of our lives. They deserve to be remembered. They earned it with their blood. John survived the bulge, though his friends did not. He carried the rosary for the rest of his life, but never again spoke of the farmhouse. The weight of that day, of Hank's laugh cut short, of David's final prayer, of holding a position alone while hundreds came for him, stayed with him until his last breath. Margaret kept the letter folded in her Bible until the day she died in 1973. When John found it among her things 28 years later, he sat in that same kitchen and wept. The rosary was placed in his hands at his funeral in 1989. He never let it go. One man's stand against 250 Germans sounds like legend, but to John, it was simply survival. It was 4 hours bought with the blood of brothers. It was a farmhouse with no name on any map, defended by boys who deserved to grow old. To him, it was never victory. It was the weight of living when better men didn't. If this letter moved you, if John's stand in the frozen Ardennes and the sacrifice of Hank, David, and Donnelly deserve to be remembered, subscribe to this channel and leave your like. Every subscription helps us preserve voices like theirs, voices that must never be left to die in silence. There are thousands more stories untold. Thousands of men like Hank who dreamed of farms and families. Like David, who fought evil so his sisters would never have to. Like Donnelly, who led with humor, even in hell. Your support keeps them alive. Subscribe. Leave your like. Share. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you had a veteran in your family, a grandfather, uncle, neighbor who served, write their name in the comments. Let's honor them together, their voices, our mission, over and out.